Understand something. Plain and simple. To me, Abigail was a delicious poison. An intoxicating, overwhelming poison. Yowie wowie! That felt good! Yowie wowie. Let me in.
What's up, everybody? We are back with another episode after a brief hiatus window. So glad to be back with everyone this evening. And I'm just going to shut up here in a minute. But first, let me thank some people for coming in. We've got Jen Carter, Wrestling Waves fan. Ken Diaz, Monica King, Calvin Corner, B Tazzy, Sunny Wolf, Butterspark, Dallas Stars fan, J567645 from Twitch. And yeah, there we go. So I'm going to shut up here because Jodie, I know you have a lot to talk about.
I do.
So I'm just going to give you the floor, and then we'll just kind of go back and forth with some things. We've also got C Wrestling, Mustafa Fazal, Jay McCabe that just joined us. So thank you all. I think I said Hayden Garrett, but if not, Hayden Garrett as well. Okay.
I'm definitely gonna need your help tonight because my brain is so scrambled from the day at work I've had. I literally just said I was supposed to leave at 5 so that I could get home to come on and do this. And 5:50, I'm still sitting at the nurse's station going through an admission with somebody. So I literally said I have to go disappear for an hour. I'm sorry. And I'll be back. So I will probably be at work until 9 o'clock tonight. But
there you go.
Me leaving at 5 o'clock was not going to happen, obviously. I got pulled to work the floor today, so I haven't done any of my usual job. So I'm definitely going to need your help. I don't even know where we left off.
You know what? That's a good question. I don't either.
So does anybody remember where we left off? What did we talk about last?
Let's just talk about everything that we've seen over the last couple of weeks. We've gotten some sightings of some of our friends from the Funhouse.
We got some puppet sightings.
Yeah. So let us know what you what you thought about some of those sightings. Oh, hold on, before you do that, we've also Foul Original. We've got, let's see, Meme Collector 30, Jason Peace. So let me know what you thought about that.
I blame Bray because he's kept us on Puppet Watch pretty much every week since this entire thing started. So he's actually just, giving us a little bit of what we want, I guess. So, we got a little bit of Ramblin' Rabbit. Was it Ramblin' Rabbit behind Randy Orton?
I believe we saw Ramblin' behind Randy. We also got
and Mercy behind Drew.
Yeah.
So, we've been on when's the last time? We'll know this. When was the last time we saw a puppet backstage or outside of the Funhouse? Was it Mania? Or just before Mania when he was messing with Cena?
I think it was that Friday night before Mania where they had that confrontation.
Mm-hmm. That's what I'm thinking. When Abby showed up and Huskus was there. So we haven't seen the puppets for a while outside of the Funhouse. So it was the WrestleMania Go Home show.
Yeah,
I can't tell the puppets are in the video. See, wrestling tells us in a video. He will definitely make a video about it if the puppets are in the video. Oh, no. No, it was the Friday Go Home show before Mania. So I was excited to see the puppets. Not that we haven't been looking, because we've definitely been looking for them. Anytime we see anybody that's remotely connected to Bray backstage, we also... Oh, yeah. Did we? Did we see Ramblin' Rabbit with Alexa Bliss backstage?
recently. Yeah, we did.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that. See, this is what work will do to you when you have a full-time management job.
So, all right. So we've got that. Here's another thing I don't think we got a chance to discuss, but what about Elijah Washington also said Money in the Bank? Thank you for that, because we did see some puppets at Money in the Bank.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for joining us, Elijah and Chris DeZuba. What do we think is going on with Drew right now and his role in all of this?
I don't know. This is the first time that I'm kind of scratching my head a little bit, because obviously, we got the little teaser that the Fiend is interested in Randy, but is he going to use Drew as a tool to get to Randy? And it definitely seems like it's going that way. So could we see Drew win the belt back tonight because of an interference from the Fiend? I said when this whole thing with Randy started, this was going to be a really slow burn, and he wasn't even going to put his hands on Randy for a long time. So I think this is just a way to get to Randy by messing with Drew. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, and Mustafa brings up a good point right here. He says there are so many people involved in this at once. Drew, Randy, Miz, Morrison, Fiend. Yeah, I mean, there's honestly, if you've ever played the game 6 Degrees of Separation,
Yeah.
degrees of Kevin Bacon, a lot of people play. I'm pretty sure at this point we could connect this story to Kevin Bacon. Like I believe we could connect the dots somehow and get all the way to
Probably. I'm sure we could. Well, now you've got Alexa deep involved and, doing her thing with Nikki. So that even, intertwines this into more of a complex story, which is beautiful. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly think, and you can tell me what you thought about this, and I think you have in the past, but I just want to dive a little bit deeper into this. I know that I was a little bit leery about how they would have Alexa be involved in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And I am so glad that I was proven wrong, because she has been absolutely tremendous. What say you, our resident Abby?
I agree. And, I know you and I have talked about this a lot. I was really, really wary in the beginning, because I didn't want Bray to get lost. And whenever you kind of start a faction, I think sometimes, it becomes about the faction and not the leader. And I didn't want the Fiend's story of revenge to get lost in this thing that he was doing. But, I trusted Bray. I know that he keeps this very close to his heart, and this is still very much his baby. Pretty much everybody has said that. Kyle has said that several times. Undertaker even said it this week. Yeah. So Bray is very so much in control of the story. So I he wouldn't have put her there without a good reason. So I was wary of it at first, but I still trusted what he was doing. And again, I'm also very glad that I was proven wrong, because I think she adds a whole nother layer to this story that, like I said, makes it so much more complex and less predictable, I guess. And Bray is now even more so doing what we don't expect. Like, we don't know what's going to happen now. There's things that we can predict. Oh, he could do this, he could do this. But I ultimately think, he's just adding complexity to this whole story just to, to make it better. And he's so good at that.
Yeah, and I think for some reason, even though we've gotten a lot of this story, I think we're only scratching the surface
Mm-hmm.
with a lot, and not just with Randy, but I think just overall, because I truly believe, and we'll talk a little bit about what Taker said here in a moment, but right now he's their most. I mean, some would argue Roman's story right now is really good, which I won't disagree with, but I mean, my goodness, the complexity and
Mm-hmm.
of this story are just unbelievable. So kudos to them with just allowing him to run wild
Mm-hmm.
and do what he's doing. So
I
well,
think a lot of that comes from the fact that he's on Raw now.
yeah,
I think Fox and, this is just speculation, obviously, but I think Fox and SmackDown was a little bit too restrictive for him. And I think a lot of that is because, with Disney being involved and being much more careful about what they present on TV.
hmm
And I think USA is a little bit more open to, the darker side. He's definitely been darker since he got onto Raw, and I think this is going to be a really, really good thing for him.
yeah. I mean, let's be honest. 95% of the stuff that he and Alexa have done since being on Raw wouldn't have even been a thought on SmackDown.
Nope, I don't think so.
That's just my personal opinion. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Here's an interesting comment here by Meme Collector 30. I think we could see Bray cost Drew tonight because the Fiend wants to be the one that takes the title from Randy. That leads to not Brandy. Wow, Randy, Brandy, Bray, Alexa. My brain is fried too. Bray
Yeah,
and Alexa versus Drew and Nikki Cross at Survivor Series. What do you think about that?
I like that idea too. The thing I like most about it is because you've got this Drew, Bray, Fiend, Alexa, Randy, Nikki. You don't really know where this is going to go. It could go that way, that you know, he wants that belt from Randy and have that come full circle at WrestleMania. That's what makes sense to me as a fan, to have that story come full circle. Or Randy took his title at WrestleMania. Seems only fair. He should return the favor. That's what makes sense to me as a fan. But I don't know. It could go so many different ways.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's what's fun about it.
Exactly. Butterspark says had to predict Alexa and Fiend versus Drew and Nikki a month and a half ago. I have to give credit where credit is due.
Mm-hmm.
That is correct. I remember seeing that in one of these streams. So if it comes true, everyone
Yeah.
go to Butterspark and get lottery numbers and predictions for games and that kind of thing if you're a betting person, because yeah, that was called a while ago.
Mm-hmm.
um okay, so let's go to, oh, we've got a Moda alert.
Yay.
Sean Rousset, how are you? Jen Carter, hello Jeff and Jody, how are you doing? Tired. That's how I'm doing.
My brain is fried.
Yeah, I mean, I think my brain is scrambled eggs at this point.
Yes, my brain is definitely scrambled eggs at the day of work I've had today.
Yeah, yeah, it's been a crazy day. So someone said they think, okay, Meme Collector said that he thought that Randy and Fiend would be the match for the title at the Rumble. Um,
I
and
really, like I said, as a fan, I want this to go to WrestleMania. I want Fiend versus Randy at WrestleMania, and I want Bray to take that belt.
Now there has been speculation that it will be Fiend and Edge at WrestleMania.
Why?
It's just the latest rumor out there.
Hmm.
What do you I can tell that you're not keen on that idea.
Well, I mean, just because he has no history with them
Yet.
right?
Yeah.
But and that's why I kind of think maybe he's getting away from the revenge storyline a little bit and focusing a little less on who hurt him in the past. I think those will still be part of his story, but he's trying to add some more, like I said, more layers and more complexity to it.
Yeah.
And kind of like, Edge has a lot of history with Randy. So maybe, if it's going to be Fiend versus Edge, maybe Edge interferes and stops the Fiend from getting the belt from Randy. And that starts that feud.
What if the Fiend is proactive and instead of waiting until that moment, he goes after Edge so he can't take on Randy? Would that make sense to you?
Yeah.
I mean,
hurt you before you hurt me.
Yeah, like we've always focused on him, going back and completing those circles.
Mm-hmm.
But what if this time instead of going backward, he
goes forward?
Goes forward.
Yeah, and you still complete a circle that way.
Exactly. It's just a different way to do it.
Yeah, I like that idea.
Okay, now Moda comes in with a bombshell, and I have not heard this. So he says, have y'all addressed rumors about WWE is going to pull the plug on Alexa Fiend storyline? I know it's rumors, but there's always always a shred of truth in there somewhere. I have not heard that.
I haven't heard that either.
And
I'm sure that was a speculation storyline that came from one certain person after we didn't get Drew on a Moment of Bliss. And I won't name that person's name.
Okay. All right. Some behind the scenes stuff.
But it rhymes with Smeltzer.
Yeah, we don't mention that name. I'm just joking. Well, I'm kind of joking, and yeah, I'll get past that. So, okay, so Taker says that
a lot of things. He said a lot of things.
He said a lot. One of the things that he said was that he wishes he had a little more time for the Undertaker and Bray to do something. What did you make of that?
It could be a swerve, and him saying, I got some gas left in the tank. I think it more hints at maybe he doesn't feel like he has enough energy left for the big feud, the big match, the mudslinging match like he had with Bray before. But I don't think that means that it's out of the question. I think it just needs to be done in a way that protects the Undertaker, if that makes sense. Kind of like a cinematic match, where they can take their time and, present it in a certain way that makes the Undertaker look strong.
Yeah. Yeah, and I thought it was interesting, too, that he said that he didn't want to extend his career by doing a bunch of cinematic matches, which I thought was interesting for him to come out and say that. It kind of leads me to believe that was something that was on the table, maybe coming up soon, even Survivor Series, and maybe he was like, thanks, but no thanks.
It may mean that he doesn't have enough gas in the tank for a match, but that doesn't mean he can't have an interaction.
Yeah, I mean, he can take a mandible claw.
It's very interesting what Bray said on Twitter. Actually, did you catch that too?
I did, but I want you to, for those who don't go on the Twitter machine as much, what did Bray say?
So WWE posted that the Undertaker, being at Survivor Series, and that he's faced just about, he's faced everybody, and they tagged, I believe they did tag Bray in it, that he's faced, all these big names, Ric Flair, Bray Wyatt, blah blah blah, and Bray responded and said, "Well, not all of them."
Interesting. Thought that was very interesting. Future Wrestling Champion says, part one of my main event booking, Drew, Randy are both out, but we cut backstage where Miz is out cold and the briefcase is in someone's hand. And that's honestly, that's the wild card in all this is that, we talk about Drew, we talk about Randy, we talk about The Fiend, but then we've got The Miz, who Bray has had some encounters with. And now he has the Money in the Bank briefcase. Do we see that come to play this evening?
I think it's possible. I mean, when Bray fought him, I don't remember. Did he beat Miz, didn't he, as Funhouse Bray?
I'm pretty sure he did.
So, he had a match with Funhouse Bray, but he hasn't encountered The Fiend.
True.
Directly.
True.
So I definitely think that the Money in the Bank contract could, like I say, add another layer to this whole story and keep us on our toes.
Yeah, I mean, that's what's so fascinating about this is that it's like everyone is involved. That's at the top of the food chain when it comes to chasing down this WWE title.
And it's unpredictable. That's what I like about it. I think wrestling, WWE in the past, for the past several years has become very predictable. I mean, you knew the second that Roman was getting involved in that match that he was going to win the belt. I mean, there are lots of storylines that have become very predictable. And Bray, again, just like he did when he debuted as, cult leader Bray, he broke the mold. And he just keeps doing it over and over again. He's this shining star that, brings that unpredictability back to what we love about wrestling.
Right. I mean, wrestling is at its best when we look at a match or going into it, we predict it to go one way and then it goes a completely different way.
I love being proven wrong. I love it.
Yes.
I love being like, well, this is definitely going to happen, and then it doesn't. I love it.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, Elijah Washington said Roman turning heel and attacking Bray and Braun. I never thought I would see that. Very unpredictable. Yeah.
Yeah, Roman turning heel was unpredictable, but you knew he was walking away with that belt.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, we knew that was coming eventually.
Now, I didn't see him turning heel and partnering up with Paul Heyman. That was nice.
It was nice. I'll say this too. I didn't think that he would. I thought it would be really good, but I didn't think he'd be this good. He's knocking this out of the park.
Oh, he's fantastic.
And I'm interested to see. I mean, obviously they're on different shows right now, but down the road, do we get an encounter with him and the Fiend again?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. That was such a monumental part of Bray's career. There's no way that he's not gonna do that again.
Yeah. And now that we've had this draft that seemingly doesn't matter because Drew ended up on SmackDown on Friday. Because of the wild card rule, which I thought wasn't a thing anymore. Um, maybe we see it sooner rather than later. So we shall see. So do you think what do you think we get at Survivor Series? Do you think we get the Fiend involved in a match? Do you think he's left off the match card to do something else? Hint, hint, wink, wink. Or what do you think we get at Survivor Series?
I'd like to say, as a fan, fantasy booking, I would love to see a passing of the torch from Undertaker to Bray. But that's me fantasy booking as a fan. It's so unpredictable to me at this point. Everybody, and this is what I was saying about Bray being unpredictable. I don't know that he will do anything with Undertaker. I'd like to say he does, because that's what we want as fans, but that's the predictable path. The predictable thing would be for him to come out and attack Undertaker. So maybe he has an interaction with him, but it's not an attack. Maybe there is this passing of the torch moment.
Yeah.
And it's not an attack, but a respectful, maybe Undertaker comes out, tips his hat, and disappears.
Yeah, I mean, do you think it will be? And this is just popping into my head. And yes, Jesse says, don't wrestlers always cross brands before Survivor Series?
Yes.
Yes, they do. But I think this year, especially with the current climate that we're in, I don't think we're going to see the massive invasions that we've seen.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I think right now at the moment, Drew is not involved in the championship match with
Correct.
So that's why it looked a little bit weird to me. Like, okay, well, he's not the champion. And then I said to myself, yet.
Right.
So maybe that was kind of a wink at, just pay attention to Monday. But what
Or
if
maybe Drew's just counting his chickens before they hatch.
Yeah.
He's expecting to win the belt back.
It could be the case. So Jodie, let's, since we're in this whole thing of fantasy booking right now, I've got to throw this out to you. And like I said, this is just something that popped into my head. What if we get all the pomp and circumstance this Sunday and we see Undertaker go out to the ring, do his thing, all his friends from the Bone Street crew, and everyone, pays their tributes to him, and he's kind of walking back to the back and somehow mysteriously ends up in the Funhouse. And that's how we see him, go away from wrestling, is that he takes a walk into the darkness of the Funhouse and fade to black.
I like that. Here's my fantasy booking, okay? Undertaker's out in the ring in his old gear. Everybody's paying their tributes. Lights go out. Red lights pop up. Fiend's in the ring. They have a little stare down with each other. Undertaker tips his hat, disappears, leaving the urn in the middle of the ring.
Oh.
Bray picks it up. He disappears. We see the Funhouse later, and the urn is in the Funhouse.
Like that. I like that. I really do like that.
Because in that way, because a lot of people, I think, especially people who aren't really Bray fans, but are big Undertaker fans, if Fiend comes out and attacks him on his tribute show, will be butthurt by that.
Yeah.
That the Fiend came out and attacked Undertaker on what was supposed to be his tribute show.
Right.
So that's kind of why I don't see that happening. I think if something does happen, it's going to be more of a passing of the torch, tipping the hat. You know, this is your show now.
I like that. I really do like that idea. And it doesn't involve Drew. I mean, not Drew. It doesn't involve Taker, being involved physically. If that's, if that's what he's trying to stay away from at this point.
And I think that adds to, the 11-19 that we've obviously seen, a few times from Bray, from the clock and the hat. Maybe that's a way of either, Bray or the Fiend putting their wish out there to carry on, not necessarily, attack Undertaker, but have a moment with him to be able to carry on his legacy. So, 11-19 was obviously his debut date. And then Survivor Series is going to be his end, retirement, whatever date, and he will carry on that legacy of the Undertaker. Maybe he, adopts something that the Undertaker did into his own act to carry on his legacy. Obviously, he got the mandible claw from Mankind, so maybe he takes something from Undertaker to use and carry on his name in a great way.
Yeah. I really like that. I think that there are a lot of ways that you could do what everyone is looking for. I think it'd be really interesting. C Wrestling says there will be a lot of people watching Survivor Series that don't watch wrestling just for the sake of The Undertaker. WWE will want to get those people invested in a new character.
And what better way to do that than for Undertaker himself to pass on the torch?
Exactly.
As opposed to getting an attack and Bray taking the torch, he gives it to him willingly.
That would say a lot.
I mean, I'd love for Undertaker to tip his hat and say, "This is your show now," but I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah.
I think just the tipping of the hat would say more than what he could say.
Big Dan says, Jodie, what about the Fiend doing the Undertaker pose in front of him in the ring?
Yeah, I like that. But that's what I mean. Like, carry on that legacy. Maybe he takes on, the slashing of the neck move before he does a mandible claw. Or, maybe he starts doing a tombstone on people, or I don't know.
Yeah, I'm trying to think here. I'm trying to think of what he could take that would be a big enough symbol from him.
I think the slicing of the neck.
I think that would be, yeah.
Because, other people have done a tombstone and, so I think the slashing of the neck before he does something like a mandible claw or Sister Abigail would really show that.
Yeah. Elijah says, what if Drew wins, but backstage someone attacks him with a bat and it's The Miz and wins the title backstage?
I don't know when Miz is going to come into play with this. I really don't. It's still like I said, it's unpredictable. It adds a whole nother layer to it. He could wait until Bray gets the belt and then does it, because Miz just got that belt, or the contract, the Money in the Bank contract. So ideally that timeline starts over now. So he has a whole year to use that because he just got it.
Which is very interesting in and of itself.
Mm-hmm.
Moda says lights go out tonight. Drew is laying over Randy. Both are knocked out. Ref counts the pin. Drew is the new champ, but who turned out the lights? Fiend, Miz, Retribution, Roman, Edge, Taker, or someone else?
I think it could be the Fiend. It could be Retribution. Could be the Miz.
It could be any of them.
It could be any of them.
And again, that's a level of unpredictability and long-term storytelling that could come into play here.
I agree with Wrestling Days fan. I don't think that Miz will have a successful cash in, but I think he definitely will cash it in.
Yeah, I think he will cash it in. I think he might be a little too overzealous with his attempt. And plus, he's just got way too many people that are interested in that title right now.
I'd like to see him do something useful with it. I'd like to see him go after the IC title or, one of the other titles, because I think if he cashes in on one of those, he might actually be successful.
That, or the other thing is, they say a title or titles of your choosing. So why not have him and Morrison go after New Day?
Yeah.
They have a pretty tough match tonight.
Yep. I would like that too. And that's what everybody thought that Otis was going to do.
Right. And I think, well, I don't know. I mean, I think there are a lot of reasons why that whole thing with Otis fizzled out, and I feel bad for him, but it is what it is.
I do too, because I love Otis and I feel so bad for him. Like, if you weren't going to let him really use it, don't put it on him in the first place.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, that's what happens when the fans believe in someone and they're telling you, hey, we really like this guy, but the company isn't 100% behind him. And it's like, well, we said he'd be the flavor of the month kind of thing. That's kind of why I feel like they took it off of him. But,
and I think a lot of that really is that I think Vince is in panic mode a little bit. And, I think that WWE has lost a lot of money since COVID. And I think he's just trying to, I think that's a lot of times why the script isn't even finalized until the day of the show. Because I think he's really just trying to do what is most profitable for the company right now.
Yeah.
And, Roman is a cash cow. Bray is a cash cow. Drew is a cash cow. Randy's a cash cow. I mean, all of those big stars sell a lot of merch and bring a lot of people in. And, like Undertaker's going to bring so many viewers to Survivor Series, like C said, that don't watch wrestling.
Right. I mean,
and I just don't think that Otis was, yes, the fans love him. We all do because he's awesome. He's Otis, but I don't think he was quite bringing in the money that, Miz is going to bring in.
Yeah. I mean, I could see that. The motive brings up something here that I think is cool. Why not give him the IC title again, like you said? Because, I mean, he's had 9 runs. He's been one of the best IC, he's one of the best IC champs of all time. So I just, it makes sense. So, okay. Let's kind of shift gears here a little bit. And let's play this out. Let's say that Drew wins tonight. Who do you see the Fiend targeting next?
I think his ultimate goal is still going to be Randy, but I think he's going to use whoever he can to get to him.
Okay.
So I could definitely see him. Obviously, if Drew wins tonight, he's going to go on to Survivor Series and have that match with Roman. And honestly, I like the idea of Roman versus Drew a little bit more than Roman versus Randy.
Okay.
Because, I mean, I think they're trying to get away from the heel versus heel, that kind of pigeonhole that they've been doing for a while. But with Drew being the hero and Roman being the heel, I think that will draw more eyes than a heel versus a heel.
Okay. What happens if Randy wins?
I think it'll still be either one will be a fantastic match. They're both, if it's Randy versus Roman, it's going to be a hell of a match. If it's Drew versus Roman, it's going to be a hell of a match, because all three of those guys are so good in the ring. I think if Randy wins, I think that more solidifies that maybe Bray is going to have something to do with Undertaker at Survivor Series.
You said if you think if Randy wins.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Why do you think that if Randy wins, he'd have a little more to do with Taker?
Because Randy's going to be busy.
Hmm.
Champion versus champion. I don't really see him interfering in that. Whereas, if Drew wins and it's Drew versus Roman, you could see Randy interfere in that match, which could draw the Fiend to interfere in that match. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
It ties Randy up with something that Bray doesn't want yet. He does want it, but he's biding his time. And I think that's why, if you look at the titles on the videos that scrambled eggs, WWE posted when Randy chose Drew McIntyre over the Fiend when he showed up behind him. The title on the video was Drew and the Fiend attack Randy. It was something like that. So it made them seem like maybe they were going to work together to get to Randy, which I could still see happening. But I loved that segment because Fiend gave him a choice. You can turn and face me like a man, or you can keep going back to Drew and fighting the same fight. Obviously, Randy is not ready for Bray yet. Randy's not ready for this Fiend yet. He's still got some issues to work out first. But I think eventually, because of that segment, it will lead up to Randy eventually choosing the Fiend. And that will truly start this feud.
Yeah. Wow. So here's the other thing.
Which again is full circle because Randy chose Bray and then turned on him.
Mm-hmm.
So now he wants him to choose him again so that Bray can turn on Randy so that he can get his revenge. He's waiting for Randy to choose to have his punishment, which obviously he's not ready for yet.
So where does Alexa fit into some of the mind games here that the Fiend could possibly play? Like I would say with tonight's match, as well as does she play a part in anything with Taker on Sunday?
I think it's possible. I mean, they could come out together. But I think to really, if the plan is to kind of pass the torch to really do it justice, it needs to be Bray alone. I definitely think that this feud between Nikki and Alexa is bubbling.
Yeah.
And it's building. I think that will end up in a match of some sort of, maybe Nikki says, if I beat you, you have to leave the Fiend and come back to me.
Mm.
kind of a fight for possession, I guess. But I definitely think that this will end up in a feud between Nikki and Alexa, and I'm excited to see Alexa kind of go off and do her own thing, but still be connected to Bray. So she needs to go and have her feuds and, do the things that she needs to do as well.
Right. John Smith says, would the E give Randy all these L's though? Roman, Fiend, and Edge will be 3 major losses in a row.
Mm-hmm.
I think, and maybe this is going to sound strange to say it this way. I don't think those types of losses hurt or touch Randy anymore.
No.
And I think you can point to that by the whole thing that happened with Keith Lee.
Mm-hmm.
I think Randy is at a different stage in his career at this point. I think more so than ever, he's probably more. I think he's more company friendly at this point, and he's trying to just put the company over as opposed to himself.
Mm-hmm.
I could be wrong. I know some people may look at him and say, "Well, my goodness, what about all these losses?" Well, here's the other thing. So, and I know someone brought this up earlier in the chat.
Bray lost all the time.
Yeah.
He was still great.
Yeah. And the other thing is you can't get to the number 16 unless you lose the belt now or at some point soon. And I think that's the ultimate thing that they want to do. I think they either want to get him tied with Ric Flair or surpass Ric Flair in terms of number of titles.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't get there without dropping the belt a couple more times.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I would look at it from that standpoint as
well.
He's
at 14 now?
Yeah, he's at 14 right now. So, I mean, I think I think that's where they want to get him. So, it's possible that he loses tonight, but I mean, it's also very possible that he loses it to Bray or Edge at some point, and but that's not to say that he won't get it back, because I think that's what
Let's not also forget who else is in that running for Ric Flair's.
He's tied with them right now.
Uh-huh. So what if we get Randy to 16, and then eventually we see a match between Randy and Cena? Maybe that's Cena's last match to beat Ric Flair.
That's interesting. That's interesting, because I think both of those guys, for different reasons, are deserving of that torch to be passed to them. There will always be a place, in my personal opinion, of Ric Flair being, as one of the best wrestlers of all time and in that Mount Rushmore discussion. But you can't argue with what Cena and Orton have done.
Absolutely.
In their time. So
that's just fantasy booking again. I'd love to see, Orton and Cena in a match for
17.
For 17.
I mean, what would be crazy is if they go into the championship match and it's a vacated belt at that point. And the winner gets to 17, the loser stays at 16. And seeing how they would possibly book that would be very, very interesting, is what I will say. Big Dan says Cena doesn't want to break the record, he said in interviews, but I could see him putting Randy over because of their friendship.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean,
Well, and you think about it too, you know, if Cena wins, then he has a title and he's got to come back and defend it and lose it. So, yeah, I think in that matchup, Randy would win.
Yeah. Let's see. Moda says, you know what's amazing? When Fiend was on SmackDown, it was a superior show and great storylines. Now that he's on Raw, there's more intriguing storylines than SmackDown. Conclusion, Fiend equals good for business.
Yep.
I agree that it's getting better. I think that they need to build some more storylines with mid-card talent.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I mean, now don't get me wrong, it's been good, but I think they need to build some more stories that are not main event right now, because that's where I think SmackDown has a slight edge at the moment. I think they're just every week it's it's just, you know, they keep continuing different things, which I really like. Okay, so Jodie, now that we have about 9 minutes to go, and I know you have to get back to work, any new Fiend merch?
Tons. There's always new Fiend merch. There are slippers.
I just want to put this guy back up on the screen.
Yeah. Payday is on Friday, and I do plan on getting one of those. I still want to get that zip up hoodie. I still want to get the boots. And I think someone else said there was a bag that just got posted. I don't know. I think Butter said it.
Mentioned that. Yeah, someone mentioned that.
But there are slippers that are up there now.
Wow.
I mean, you know, and obviously we got the new T-shirt with Bray and Alexa on it, which is really cool. I also do want to take a moment to say congratulations to Alexa Bliss. She got engaged over the weekend. Super exciting. I think my initial reaction to that was, geez, that guest list though.
Right.
Because they both know a lot of people.
Yeah. I mean, I'm happy for her. And I don't know her from anyone else, but she seems like a really, you know, genuine person. So really happy for her.
Yeah, very happy. It's exciting.
Shaw Rousset says WWE needs to release men's Fiend slippers. You know, yeah, we like slippers too. Dang it, hook us up. Hook us up. Okay, so Jodie, we're gonna go out with this. Your last thoughts on what we see. Well, before that, Butter says they have to invite the puppets to the wedding.
Yes.
You know, I mean, maybe Huskus or Mercy could be the ring bearer. That would be pretty cool. So,
although I don't really like to talk about Bray's personal life because I know he's very private, but how adorable would Nash be as a ring bearer?
that would be awesome.
He'd be so freaking adorable.
That would be awesome.
That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah. All right. So, Jodie, at the end of the night tonight, who are we going to see either standing or maybe they're laying down and they're crowned the champion? Will we see Randy retain or Drew be a two-time champ? And will the Fiend have anything to say about the outcome of the match?
I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm probably going to be totally wrong, but I'm okay with that. And I'm going to say that Drew wins with the help of the Fiend.
Drew wins with the help of the Fiend.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to be looking for it tonight.
I'm probably totally wrong, but it's okay. I like being proven wrong.
Hey, that means that it was unpredictable, which
Yep.
means that
It's good.
it's good stuff.
Yep.
So, okay, so we're gonna get out of here because Jodie has to go back to work and I have to go as well. So, thank you all for joining us this evening. Um, if you have not done so yet, please like this video. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, please do that as well. You can watch us all over the place: Facebook, Twitch, Periscope, and obviously here on YouTube. Join us tomorrow night if you are an Impact fan. If not, just come over anyway. It's always a good time in our watch alongs for Impact Wrestling on Tuesday night. So that's at 7:30 tomorrow night. Come
We
join
will
us
also be doing our watch along for Survivor Series.
Sunday. Yeah, Sunday.
Are we
And
doing a prediction show?
we are doing a prediction show on Friday right after SmackDown.
Okay.
So join us for that. It's going to be a busy weekend again. Team No Sleep. But yeah, we will be all around the interwebs, as they say, this week with lots of content for all of you. So I'm going to shut up now. Jodie, take us out.
I don't really have much else to say. I'm excited for tonight. I am going to do my best to make it home in time for the start of Raw. It probably won't happen. I may get home shortly after, but I will definitely be listening to it in my car on the way home. Excited to see what happens tonight. Excited for prediction show and the pay-per-view on Sunday. Always a good time. So we will see you guys next time.
Take care, everyone.
La